I woke up in a body that wasn't mine, in a world I'd only read about, with a name that spelled doom, Silas Blackthorne, the villain of Eclipsed Hearts, a fantasy novel I'd binged last week. My new heart pounded with someone else's rage, and my hand scarred, calloused. Ron clutched a dagger that reeked of dark magic. Worst of all, I was standing over Ethan Caldwell, the story's golden hero, his perfect face bloodied and his eyes blazing with defiance as I prepared to deliver the killing blow. This wasn't how I wanted to start my Monday. My real name was Jamie Carter, a 24-year-old barista from Seattle who'd fallen asleep reading a book and woken up as its most hated character. In the novel, Silas was a ruthless sorcerer, hell-bent on destroying Ethan, the prophesied light-bearer destined to save the world. I'd always thought Silas was misunderstood, his tragic backstory buried under layers of bad choices. But I never imagined I'd be the one living his life, forced to play the bad guy in a story where everyone wanted me dead. The forest around us was alive, with whispers, trees creaking, shadows slithering like they had minds of their own. Ethan, tied to a gnarled oak by enchanted vines, glared up at me. His golden hair caught the moonlight, and even bruised, he was stupidly beautiful, like the kind of guy who'd break your heart just by existing. You'll never win, Silas, he spat, his voice steady despite the blood trickling down his temple. The light will burn you to ash. I froze. The dagger in my hand trembled. Not because I wanted to kill him, I didn't, but because the original Silas's instincts were screaming in my head, urging me to finish the job. I wasn't a murderer. I wasn't even a sorcerer. I was just a guy who liked oat milk lattes and binge-watching anime. But the world of Eclipsed Hearts didn't care about that. If I didn't follow the plot, the magic binding this body might tear me apart. Shut up, I muttered, stalling. My voice came out wrong, deep, cold, like Silas's. I needed to think. In the book, this was the scene where Silas nearly killed Ethan, only for Ethan's allies to swoop in and save him. If I let him go, I'd be breaking the story's rules, and who knew what that would do to me? But if I hurt him, I'd be no better than the villain I was trapped in. Ethan's eyes narrowed, searching my face. What's wrong with you? You're hesitating. His tone was sharp, but there was something else in it, curiosity. Maybe. Like he could sense I wasn't the Silas he knew. I dropped the dagger. It hit the dirt with a dull thud, and the vines around Ethan loosened, slinking back into the earth. I'm not doing this, I said, stepping back. My hands were shaking, and the air felt heavy, like the world itself was judging me. I'm not him. Ethan scrambled to his feet, his expression a mix of confusion and suspicion. What game are you playing? Blackthorne. He summoned a faint glow in his palm, a spark of the light that could incinerate me if he wanted. But he didn't attack. He just stood there, watching me like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve. Before I could answer, a memory that wasn't mine flashed through my head. Silas and Ethan as kids, laughing together in a sunlit meadow, before their destinies tore them apart. The ache in my chest wasn't just Silas's. It was mine, too. I'd read about their rivalry, their hatred, but I'd always shipped them in secret, wondering what could have been if they'd chosen each other instead of war. I'm not playing, I said, my voice softer now. I don't want to fight you. Ethan's glow flickered, his hand lowering slightly. You're lying. You always lie. But his voice wavered, and for a split second, I saw the boy from the memory, the one who'd once trusted Silas with his life. I don't know what possessed me. Maybe it was the adrenaline, or the fact that I was stuck in a body that wasn't mine, or the way Ethan's eyes softened just enough to make my heart stutter. I stepped forward, grabbed his face, and kissed him. It was a mistake. A huge, catastrophic mistake. His lips were warm, and for one glorious second, he leaned into it, his breath catching. Then he shoved me back, his face flushed and his eyes wide with shock. What the hell? Silas. You don't know. I stammered, my own face burning. I didn't mean Toshit. I'm not even Silas. He stared at me like I'd grown a second head. What are you talking about? I opened my mouth to explain, but the forest erupted in chaos. Torches flared in the distance, and the shouts of Ethan's allies echoed through the trees. They were coming for me. For Silas. I turned to run, but Ethan grabbed my wrist. His grip firm, but not cruel. You're not going anywhere, he said, his voice low. Dangerous. Not until you explain that. The next few days were a blur of running, hiding, and trying not to die. Ethan didn't let me out of his sight, dragging me through the backwoods of this magical version of America, where small towns glowed with enchanted lanterns and rivers shimmered with stardust. His allies Lila, a sharp-tongued archer, and Marcus, a burly healer with a chip on his shoulder, wanted me dead. But Ethan kept them at bay, insisting I was different now. I didn't know if he believed me or just wanted answers, but his eyes followed me everywhere, equal parts wary and intrigued. I told him the truth, or as much of it as I could without sounding completely insane. I'm not Silas, I said one night, sitting by a campfire in a hidden glade. The flames cast shadows on Ethan's face, making him look both fierce and vulnerable. My name's Jamie. I'm from another world. I woke up in his body, and I don't know why. Ethan snorted, poking at the fire with a stick. You expect me to believe that? Silas Blackthorne, master of lies, suddenly replaced by some coffee shop guy? I was a barista, not a liar. I shot back, then winced. Okay, Silas was a liar. But I'm not him. I don't want to destroy the world or whatever he was planning. I just want to go home. He studied me, his green eyes catching the firelight. You kissed me, he said quietly, like it was a challenge. My face heated. Yeah. Well, you're kind of, the hero. And I'm stuck in the villain's body. It was a moment of weakness. A moment of weakness, he repeated, his lips twitching like he was fighting a smile. You're not what I expected, whoever you are. That night, I caught him watching me as I pretended to sleep, his expression unreadable. I didn't know what was worse, the fact that I was falling for the guy I was supposed to kill, or that he might actually be starting to trust me. But the world wasn't done with us. The next morning, we were ambushed by Silas's old allies, dark sorcerers who didn't care that I wasn't the real Silas. They wanted the power in my blood, the dark magic that hummed under my skin like a live wire. Ethan fought beside me, his light clashing with their shadows in a storm of sparks and screams. When it was over, we were both bruised and bleeding, but alive. You didn't run, he said, panting, as we leaned against a tree. His shoulder brushed mine, and I felt that same pull from the night I kissed him. I'm not a coward, I said, meeting his gaze. And I'm not Silas. I'm trying to be better. He didn't reply, but his hand lingered on my arm. And for the first time, I wondered if I could rewrite this story not just for me, but for both of us. Weeks passed, and the line between Jamie and Silas blurred. The more I lived in this body, the more Silas's memories seeped into Maya's pain. His anger, his love for Ethan that he'd buried under years of betrayal. I fought it, but the magic in me grew stronger. And so did my feelings for Ethan. We were still on the run, dodging both his allies' suspicions and the dark forces hunting me. But every stolen moment, every glance, every brush of his hand felt like a rebellion against the story we were trapped in. One night, under a sky heavy with stars, Ethan pulled me aside. We were camped near a lake, its surface reflecting the constellations like a mirror. "If you're not Silas," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "then why do you look at me like he used to?" My heart stopped. "What?" "Before everything went wrong," he said, stepping closer. "Before he chose power over us. He looked at me like you do now. Like I was the only thing that mattered." I swallowed hard, my throat tight. "Ethan, I'm not him. But I care about you. More than I should. Probably." He closed the distance between us, his hand cupping my cheek. "I don't know who you are, Jamie or Silas or both. But I'm tired of fighting this." When he kissed me, it wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate, desperate, like he was pouring years of unspoken longing into it. I kissed him back, my hands tangling in his hair. And for a moment, the world wasn't trying to tear us apart. But stories like Eclipsed Hearts don't let you rewrite the ending so easily. The next day, we learned the truth. Silas's dark magic was tied to a prophecy that could destroy the world if it wasn't stopped. And the only way to break it was for Ethan to kill me or for me to sacrifice myself. I looked at Ethan, his face pale but resolute. And I knew what I had to do. I wasn't Silas, but I was in his body. And maybe that was the point. Maybe I'd been sent here to fix what he'd broken, to give this story a better ending. "I'm not letting you die," Ethan said fiercely, grabbing my hand as we faced the final battle, a clash of light and dark that would decide the fate of the world. "I'm not planning on it." I lied, smiling even as my heart broke. Because I knew the truth, to save him, to save everyone, I'd have to let go of the one thing I wanted most. In the end, I didn't fight the prophecy. I channeled Silas's magic into a spell that sealed the darkness forever, knowing it would take me with it. As the world faded, I felt Ethan's arms around me, his voice begging me to stay. "You're not the villain," he whispered, tears in his eyes. "You never were." I woke up back in my Seattle apartment, the book Eclipsed Hearts open on my chest, its pages blank except for a single line, "To Jamie, who changed the story." Somewhere, in another world, Ethan was alive, and that was enough. But as I touched my lips, still tingling from his kiss, I knew I'd carry him with me forever, a hero who'd loved a villain, and a villain who'd chosen love over fate.